Distinguished guests, please remain standing for the procession of our nation's colors and those of our veteran service organizations. As we march on the colors, the United States Army Band will play the National Emblem March. Please place your right hand over your heart or render a hand salute. Distinguished guests, please remain standing for the invocation given by Chaplain Kimberly Willis, Executive Director of Chaplain Service for the United States Department of Veterans Affairs.
Good morning. Let us pray. Eternal and ever faithful God, on this sacred morning beneath the quiet majesty of these marble arches, we gather in this hallowed place to pay tribute, to reflect, and to recommit. We come before you as a grateful nation, mindful of those who have donned the uniform, answered the call, and stood in the breach on behalf of freedom. You who chart the course of every life, know each one who answered to the distant horizon, to the storm-tossed sea, to the far-off watch. You have seen the quiet courage and the visible sacrifice, the sleepless nights, the lonely return, the unspoken burdens. You have carried the tears of family, the prayers of caregivers, and the hope of a grateful people. We remember those who fell, whose names rest beneath these stones, silent sentinels of our nation's promise. We remember those who yet bear in body or spirit the cost of service. Grant them your healing, your strength, and your peace. And to families who waited, who worried, who bore the weight of absence, extend your sustaining grace, O Comforter. We give thanks for the Department of Veteran Affairs, who daily honor our nation's sacred trusts. And we bless the veteran service organizations whose devotion ensures that no veteran stands alone. In honor of those who served, renew our covenant to tend the garden of democracy with vigilance and care, to serve with humility, to lead with integrity, to walk together as one people under your guiding hand. Underpin our labors with hope, our words with true, our action with compassion. Let freedom ring not only on the battlefield, but in the everyday lives of your people. God bless the United States of America, that we may be true to the promise entrusted to us, vigilant in peace, resolute in service, defender of justice, and steadfast in gratitude. It is in your holy name we pray. Amen.
Be seated. I am honored to introduce the 2025 National Veterans Day Observance co-host organization, the American Veterans, better known as AMVETS. The organization began in 1944 when 18 World War II veterans met in Kansas City, Missouri to form the American Veterans of World War II. Just 3 years later, President Harry S. Truman signed Public Law 216, making AMVETS the first World War II veterans group chartered by Congress. Over the decades, its charter expanded to include those who served in every era from World War II to today, including members of the National Guard and Reserves. Today, AMVETS focuses on critical veterans issues such as mental health, suicide prevention, and ensuring women veterans receive equal recognition and opportunities. Representing AMVETS today is National Commander Paul Shipley, a U.S. Army combat veteran who served from 2004 to 2014, including a deployment to Iraq. Commander Shipley is the first post-9/11 veteran and one of the youngest leaders in AMVETS' 80-year history. Please join me in welcoming National Commander of AMVETS and co-host of today's ceremony, Mr. Paul Shipley, who will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance and deliver remarks. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good morning, Mr. President, Mr. Vice President, Secretary Collins, and distinguished leaders of the Veteran Service Organizations of the United States of America. Good morning and happy Veterans Day. Today, as we gather at this hallowed ground at Arlington National Cemetery, we honor the brave men and women who have served our nation with unwavering courage and sacrifice. It is a solemn moment of remembrance, unity, and a renewal of our commitment to those that have served. Today is also a special celebration of all who put their lives on the line for the United States of America. AMVETS has a proud history spanning over 80 years. Today, our top priorities remain clear. We work tirelessly to prevent veteran suicide and veteran homelessness, because no veteran should be alone in facing these struggles. We promote awareness, prisoners of war, and missing in action issues, ensuring that no hero is ever forgotten. And we are committed to supporting veterans' families, help keeping them united through life's toughest challenges. As the host of this year's Veterans Day National Committee, AMVETS is honored to participate alongside dedicated Department of Veteran Affairs staff and our fellow veteran service organizations. Together, we organize this event to honor our fallen and to reaffirm our duty to those who have served. In the spirit of veterans serving veterans, I challenge each of us, whether here today or watching from home, to find ways to support our veterans, whether through a simple act of kindness, volunteering, or advocating for policies that make a difference. Your efforts matter. Because supporting our veterans is not just a duty, it's a reflection of our gratitude and respect. Let us remember today that their sacrifices have made the freedoms we enjoy possible. And let us pledge to continue serving, protecting, and honoring all who have served our nation. Thank you. God bless our veterans, and God bless America. It is now my humble honor to introduce the 12th Secretary of the Department of Veterans Affairs. Secretary Doug Collins is an accomplished attorney with more than a decade of legislative experience representing the people of Georgia in the state legislature and later the U.S. House of Representatives. As a U.S. Air Force Reserve chaplain, Secretary Collins has ministered to our country's military since 2002. He completed a 2008 and 2009 deployment to Iraq while stationed at Bilateral Air Base. Collins remains a colonel in the United States Air Force Reserve, and he previously served in the U.S. Navy Reserve. Please join me in warmly welcoming VA Secretary Doug Collins.
Good morning, everyone. Mr. President, Mr. Vice President, all the VSOs, all of our veteran staff here today, and welcome you to a place in which we honor our veterans, those who have served. I tell you, it was an honor to be here, but it was an even bigger honor just over a year ago when President asked me to take this job. And I asked him a simple question. I said, Mr. President, what would you like me to do? And he looked at me with a simple phrase. He said, take care of our veterans. I tell all the rest of the cabinet, I've got the best job in the world because I get to take care of the best people in the world, the veterans of the United States of America. And this president is firmly committed to making sure this happens. The VA is a different place today than it was just 9 months ago. 9 months ago, there was more of an inner reflection. Now it is an outer reflection. The only thing that matters at the VA is that the veteran comes first. All we do is not about a bureaucracy or where we're from. It's about the veteran who walks through our door. Without the veteran, we have no job. The VA now understands that we do nothing else except take care of the veteran and do things for them. And under that direction from the president, we have lowered backlogs. We have increased wait times. And yes, Mr. President, we get them to community when they want to go to the community to see those doctors. And that's all just in the first 9 months. But the best part of this is that there is something to understand. Is that Veterans Day, unlike the others we celebrate, is about everyday people doing extraordinary things. Veterans Day is about men and women who come from small towns, hamlets, villages, and big towns. And they make a decision in their life to raise their right hand and say, I'm committing to something bigger than myself. I'm stepping forward where many will not. I am raising my right hand and committing myself to service to a country, as I said just the other day, to make and ensure that our military is the biggest and baddest in the world. Our veterans make that possible. It comes from people all over. As I served with in Iraq, what I love about Veterans Day is it tells the story of a young girl. She was in her early 20s. I met her on the fields in a wind just like this in the desert of Iraq. She had showed up late, and I was on the night chaplain run, and I'd always saw everybody else, but I didn't recognize her. And I walked up to the gate, and I said, where have you been? And I said, I haven't seen you here. She said, sir, I'm a little bit late deploying with my troops. I said, well, what was the reason? And I said, you could, I figured, why are you coming in 3 or 4 weeks later? She said, well, sir, just about 2 months ago, I had my daughter. And I looked at her and I said, and you came anyway. I said, you could probably got a deferment of that. She said, no, sir. She said, I'd go where my troops go. I go where they go. And for the rest of the time I was there, we shared pictures of one growing up, a little one, taking first crawls and moves, and sharing it in the night sky over Iraq. That is a veteran who serves because they want to serve others. I remember an A1C who was on deployment. He came back and he said, I am now making big money. He said, I can actually help my family and I can buy Christmas presents for those that didn't get any last year. It's about the stories of those as a young man, and just a little bit young because he's in his 80s, at one of our VA hospitals in hospice, who I walked in on him just the other day, and he was playing on a keyboard, Just a Closer Walk with Thee. Veterans Day is about veterans that were not special necessarily when they came up, but they saw a vision and a calling, and they said, I want to be a part of our armed services. So when they raised their hand, they made a choice to become one of our favorite in the world, and that is a veteran who serves this country. So as we come to this day of service, this day of happy Thanksgiving for people who are willing to serve, I would just have one word from the half of this administration, and I want everyone to hear it clearly, whether you're in the media, Congress, or anywhere else. I'm a little bit tired of people saying that veterans keep getting stuff. Nope, veterans do not get anything from this country. They have earned everything that they are getting, and I am committed to making sure they will always have that from this administration and this VA, and that is my promise and this president's promise to you. And with that, it is my honor to introduce to you a father, a husband, and yes, for those in the audience, a Marine. Oh, come on, Marines. There we go. My Marines ain't let me down on this one, because now I get to introduce the great Vice President of the United States. It is his honor. It is his Marine, and I'm making him wait just a minute. It is Mr. Vice President. He is ready to use.
Well, thank you, Doug. You're doing a great job at the VA, and I want to say just a couple things. I've learned a couple things from working so closely with the President of the United States. The first thing is that he loves our nation's veterans and has committed our nation's administration to putting our veterans first every single day. And the second thing I've learned about the President of the United States is that he really hates when somebody who's speaking before him goes on for too long. And so with that in mind, I have prepared a very brief and very inspiring 1 hour and 45-minute speech on this beautiful Veterans Day out here in the cold. But let me just give 3 very brief messages. First, to our nation's veterans, thank you. Thank you for serving and sacrificing. We've all got so many good stories of people that we served with over the years. During my 4 years of the Marine Corps, I met the very best of America. People who are willing to put on a uniform and risk their lives for their entire country. Just yesterday morning, I met people who lost limbs, who lost very, very important family members, who lost their psychological health, going out there and serving the United States of America. So whether you gave a little bit or whether you gave a lot, every single person who put on the uniform of this nation deserves our gratitude on this day especially, but every day. And so from the Vice President and the entire administration to our nation's veterans, thank you for your service, thank you for your sacrifice, and thank you for making us proud every single day. The second message is to the nation's political leaders. I happen to believe that the most valuable resource that we have isn't the incredible wealth of natural resources of this country, as amazing as it is. The most important natural resource that we have is that we have hundreds of thousands of young people every single month who sign up to put on the uniform and risk their lives for their fellow citizens. That is a resource we cannot squander. That is a resource we must protect. And so, to every elected official who's here today, our obligation, our sacred responsibility to our veterans is to make sure that the American military is the bravest and best fighting force anywhere in the world, and to make sure that every time we ask our nation's military to go off to war, we give them the training, we give them the resources, and we give them what they need to kick the enemy's rear end and to come back home safely and quickly. That is our obligation to you. And my third and final message to the American people, I'm asked all the time how to best honor our veterans. And this day in particular gives you an opportunity, and it doesn't have to be difficult and it doesn't have to be complicated. If you find yourself at a restaurant this evening and you see somebody wearing a uniform, buy them a meal if you're able, or buy them a beer. If you see a veteran of our nation's armed forces, if you know somebody in your family, give them a call and say thank you. I heard already this morning from my mother-in-law who sent me a message early California time, and it touched my heart. Just knowing that we have loved ones who recognize our service, who care about it, and who care enough to go out and say thank you. So to the American people, if we want to keep on ensuring that the very best and brightest sign up for our military, the very best way to do it is to make sure that the veterans know that we are grateful to them. And so it's with great pride that I am introducing a man who is proud of our veterans, who fights every single day for the veterans, and who is proud to be the Commander-in-Chief of the United States Armed Forces, President Donald J. Trump.
Thank you, JD. Thank you very much to our great Vice President. It was a good decision I made. This morning on these hallowed grounds where generations of American heroes rest in eternal glory, we gather to fulfill the sacred duty of every free man and woman. On Veterans Day, we honor those who have worn the uniform, who have borne the battle, who have stood to watch, and whose ranks have formed the mighty wall of flesh and blood, bravery and devotion that has defended our freedom for 250 years. Today, to every veteran, we love our veterans, we say the words too often left unsaid. Thank you for your service. Thank you very much. And we want to also say thank you for carrying America's fate on your strong, very broad, and proud shoulders. Each of you has earned the respect and the gratitude of our entire nation. We love you, we salute you, and we will never forget what you have done to keep America safe, sovereign, and free. Thank you very much. And we're also honored to be joined by a great man. He will go down as a great man someday. Speaker Mike Johnson. Speaker. Wherever you may be, Speaker. We love you, Speaker. There he is, right there. Good. Got a good location. He always gets a good location. And congratulations to you and to John and to everybody on a very big victory. We're opening up our country. Should have never been closed. Should have never been closed. I want to thank Secretary Doug Collins, who's outstanding, just done a fantastic job for the veterans. We have a 92% approval rating. We took that up from 38% from a certain previous administration that we won't mention. Also, Secretary of War, we like the sound of that better than the other. Secretary Pete Hegseth. Pete, thank you very much. Thank you, Pete. Great job. Our great Attorney General, Pam Bondi. Pam, thank you very much. Thank you. Secretary Doug Burgum. Doug, thank you. Thank you very much for being here, Doug. The #1 energy person anywhere in the world, acknowledged. I was amazed that he took the job and he did it without hesitation. What he gave up, what Doug gave up, what all of them gave up, nobody would ever know. But Secretary Chris Wright, #1 anywhere in the world, acknowledged. And drill, baby, drill, Chris, right? Drill, baby, drill. The energy prices are way down and they're going further. Secretary Linda McMahon, education, moving education back to the states, Linda, right? Getting it back to the states where it belongs. Secretary Laurie Chavez DeReamer, thank you, Laurie, very much. Director Russ Vogt, Director, thank you. What a good job he's doing. Cutting, but fairly cutting. Director Tulsi Gabbard, thank you, Director. Ambassador Jameson Greer, what a job he's done. We've taken in trillions of dollars in tariffs, and we want to keep it that way. It's been good for our country, I can tell you, including national security. General Dan Kane. General, thank you. He's a real general. And congratulations on wiping out the nuclear capability of Iran in about a matter of seconds once they got there. They traveled a total of 37 hours, but once they got there, they were very quick. And also to many other very distinguished guests. We have an amazing group of people. I'd like to name every one of you, but I think a lot of people would be upset. It's a little cold. The pages of American history are filled with the tales of titans, icons, innovators, and trailblazers who built this country into the greatest, most ambitious, and most prosperous nation the world has ever seen. And we brought it to new levels. I'll tell you, we were going in the wrong direction for a period of time, but we've never been hotter than we are right now. This is the hottest country anywhere in the world. Yet every captain of industry, every pioneer of science, and every star whose brilliance has lit up the lights of Broadway all share one thing in common. They only had the chance to soar because the veterans had the courage to serve. They took care of those people. They took care of all the stars. The stars that you read about wouldn't be here without our veterans. Everything we have, everything our country has achieved has been purchased by the muscle, spine, and steel of the United States military. We owe it all to the fierce and noble men and women of the Army, the Navy, the Air Force, Space Force, Coast Guard, and the United States Marines. Here's a guy. Our service members, our own words, are the greatest possible tribute to their immortal valor. Shortly before the Battle of Bull Run, Major Sullivan Ballou of Rhode Island became a big name, didn't he? Wrote to his dear wife, Sarah. He said, "I know how great a debt we owe to those who went before us," he said. "And I'm willing, perfectly willing, darling, to lay down all my joys of this life to help maintain this government and to pay that debt." Just 1 week later, Major Ballou did just that. He gave his life to save our country. On the night before he jumped into the dark skies over Normandy on D-Day, Colonel Bull Wolverton knelt with his men in prayer. "Dear God," he said, "we ask only this, that if we die, we must die, and we as men would die without complaining, without pleading, and safe in the feeling that we have done our best for what we believed was right. We must do what is right." Colonel Wolverton, too, died for us so bravely in battle. Today, we remember with overwhelming gratitude the more than 1 million American service members who have made the supreme sacrifice and laid down their lives for the good old USA. Generation after generation, America's warriors have left behind the comforts of home and family to face violence, evil, and death so that our families could know joy, goodness, and peace. We honor them so strongly. Our heroes have lived through unthinkable nightmares so we could live the American dream, and the American dream is coming back again, stronger than ever before, and you'll see that as the next few years evolve. They have volunteered to give their last breaths to all of us so that we could breathe free. And today we know without any doubt in our hearts that after 2.5 centuries, America stands tall because America's veterans stood so strong. And soon our country will be stronger than ever before. The American veteran has forged a legacy of gallantry and daring without parallel in human history. In September 2009, Army Captain William Swenson was driving through the Afghan mountains when his convoy was ambushed by over 60 Taliban insurgents. He and his comrades were pinned down for hours without artillery or air support. A fellow soldier was shot in the chest, and Captain Swenson crossed an open field to aid his brother in arms. People said, "Don't do it, Captain, don't do it." He did it. When the terrorists closed in around them and demanded their surrender, Captain Swenson threw a grenade at the enemy and rallied his men to break their advance. He then carried the wounded soldiers hundreds of yards to a rescue helicopter before charging back 3 times, back and forth, into the fire to save the wounded and bring them home. Even after 7 hours of fighting, he refused to leave any man behind. Retired Lieutenant Colonel William Swenson is here with us in Arlington. And for his actions that day, he proudly wears the Congressional Medal of Honor. Colonel Swenson, thank you very much. Thank you very much, please. Thank you. Thank you very much. the ultimate honor. Thank you. Another person who shows the Medal of the American Veteran is Dale Stovall. As an Air Force helicopter pilot in Vietnam, Captain Stovall was assigned to rescue a downed American airman deep in hostile territory. Despite the extreme peril, Captain Stovall took off in his HH-53C helicopter and soon came under intense fire, forcing him to turn back. But the captain refused to abandon his mission. The next day, he willingly plunged back into the danger while taking fire from all directions. He didn't have a chance, he felt, but he said, I got to do it. He rescued the downed American pilot who had been stranded on the ground for 23 days and brought him back home alive, completing the deepest rescue behind enemy lines in the entire Vietnam War. For this and 11 other harrowing rescues, he was a brave guy. Dale received the famous Air Force Cross and the Distinguished Flying Cross and 2 Silver Stars, making him the 4th most combat decorated Air Force Academy grad of all time. He retired as a brigadier general after 31 years of service. General Stovall, you are a legend. Please, thank you. General Stovall. Thank you very much. Thank you. You look good, General. You look, I wish I looked that good. You look good. Thank you very much, General. America's warriors never quit, never surrender. They fight, 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 and they win, win, win. That's what we do. We win battles. As you know, today is not only Veterans Day, but it's my proclamation that we are now going to be saying and calling Victory Day for World War I. Victory Day. You know, I was recently at an event and I saw France was celebrating Victory Day, but we didn't. And I saw France was celebrating another Victory Day for World War II. And other countries were celebrating. They were all celebrating. We're the one that won the wars. And I said, from now on, we're going to say Victory Day for World War I and World War II. And we could do for plenty of other wars, but we'll start with those 2. Maybe someday somebody else will add a couple of more because we won a lot of good ones. But when I see other countries celebrating Victory Day, I watched it. I watched UK, I watched Russia. They were celebrating Victory Day, World War II. And I said, we got to have a Victory Day. Nobody even talked about it in our country. But from now on, we're going to be celebrating Victory Day for World War I, for World War II, and frankly, for everything else. Under the Trump administration, we're restoring the pride and the winning spirit of the United States military. That's why we have officially renamed the Department of Defense back to the original name, Department of War. And remember, we won World War I, we won World War II, we won everything in between, we won everything that came before, and then we brilliantly decided to change the name of this great thing that we all created together. And we became politically correct. We don't like being politically correct. So we're not going to be politically correct anymore. From now on, when we fight a war, we only fight for one reason, to win. We fight to win. But under my leadership, we're also fighting for the great veterans who have always been there for us, and especially when we needed them and needed them most. In 9 months, the Trump administration has cut the backlog of VA benefit claims in half. That's a big achievement, and Doug is going to get it down to 0. During the Biden administration, the backlog exploded like we had never seen before, and I'm going to eliminate 100% of that backlog. We're moving at that pace, and already we've processed more than 3 million backlog claims, the most of any year in the history of the VA. We've added more than 1 million extra service hours across the VA centers, and we've opened 20 new facilities in 13 states, something that people said just not possible to do. We also have brought back VA choice and VA accountability, taken away by the Biden administration, so that when you have to wait online, you go out and you get yourself a doctor. We pay for the doctor if you have to wait. And the other thing is we fired thousands of people who didn't take care of our great veterans. They were sadists, they were sick people, they were thieves, they were everything you want to name, and we got rid of over 9,000 of them. And then when Biden came in, he hired them back, many of them. But we got rid of them. And I think we got rid of them permanently. We replaced them with people who love our veterans, not people who are sick people. We're also confronting the challenge of veterans' homelessness, and earlier this year I signed an order establishing the National Center for Warrior Independence to house up to 6,000 veterans in need, and we will not stop until we have ended the tragedy of homeless veterans once and for all. I'd see in New York where people that came into our country illegally, would be put up in hotels, and veterans would be sitting on the sidewalk outside of that hotel where these other people are put in. And many of the people that came in were put in from prisons. They were murderers. They were drug dealers. They were people that we didn't want in our country. They were staying in hotels, luxury hotels, and our veterans were sitting on the sidewalks watching them go in. I said, that's never going to happen under this administration. I also signed the VA Home Loan Program Reform Act, because no veteran should be kicked out of their home for what they call a late payment. It's not happening. And I'm pleased to report that since January, the veterans' unemployment rate has fallen by more than 26%. That's amazing. Work hard on that. And I also want to give a very special thanks to all of the veteran service organizations that work so hard. They're all represented here today. But they work so hard on behalf of our great veterans, and one of the heroes who reminds us of why we fight for those who served in uniform is Army Major and West Point grad Jonathan Turnbull. In 2019, Jonathan was conducting an operation in Syria when a suicide bomber approached and detonated his vest, leaving Jonathan gravely wounded, so badly wounded, they thought he had no chance. The injuries were so severe, the doctors gave him, everybody, they just looked, they all cried. They knew him, they loved him, and they were just crying. They said, no chance. He was resuscitated 3 separate times, and he underwent 22 surgeries, but he refused to give up. He wanted to live. He loved this country. He loved his family. He wanted to live. He was going through hell. I visited Jonathan at Walter Reed in 2020, remembered so well, and today I'm delighted to say that Jonathan is not only alive, he is here with us, back on his feet, and living a great life alongside his beautiful wife, Samantha, and their 3 incredible children. Jonathan, Samantha, please. God bless you. God bless you. Thank you. Where are you? There he is. There he is. Beautiful. Thank you very much. Thank you. You're a tough guy. You're a tough one. Nobody could have gone through what you went through. He's doing good, isn't he, huh, Samantha? Thank you very much, both. And in conclusion, from the very beginning of our country, our great American flag has always been shielded and protected by a special cast of citizens who has stepped forward to safeguard liberty's cause. When danger came, when duty called, when Almighty God asked, who had the will and the strength to defend the land of the free, each and every American veteran stood up and said, here I am, send me, here I am. They've come from every corner of this nation, from the cornfields of Iowa to the hills and valleys of California, from the steel towns of Pennsylvania to the vast plains of Texas, from the banks of the mighty Mississippi to the 5 boroughs of New York City. With selfless commitment and unyielding conviction, they made themselves America's ramparts and became the shield between our homeland and those who would do us harm. With everything they had, they did one thing above all else. They put America first. On the decks of destroyers, beneath the thunder of cannon fire, in the cockpits of our beautiful B-2 bombers. Aren't they beautiful now? We respect them so much. What a job they did. That in an instant completely obliterated Iran's nuclear capability, of which we have just ordered, I have to say, many more of the updated versions of that incredible piece of art. They defended the American Republic, dispensed American justice, crushed the enemies of freedom, and vanquished the forces of wickedness and evil. That's what we've been doing. Because of what every veteran has done today, the flame of liberty shines bright. The people of our nation sleep safe. The American dream surges forward, and our magnificent destiny stands more splendid and glorious than ever before. So I want to say thank you once again to every American veteran. You are very, very special people, and always in our heart. And thank you very much, and God bless you, and God bless the United States of America. Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Distinguished guests, please stand and join the United States Army Band and Chorus in singing God Bless America, and remain standing as we retire the colors. Please place your right hand over your heart or render a hand salute.
Storm clouds gather far across the sea. Let us swear allegiance to a land that's free.
Don't tell Monica.
She's a strong leader. She just made television.
Oh, sir.
Okay. Thank you very much, everybody. It's an honor to be here for our friend Sergio Gore. Today we're thrilled to be in a swearing for the next ambassador to India and special envoy to South and Central Asia, which is a big deal, and Sergio will handle it better than anybody could handle it. So I just want to congratulate Sergio. Come here a minute, Sergio. We are honored to be joined this afternoon by our great Vice President JD Vance. Thank you, JD. Secretary of State Marco Rubio. Thank you, Marco. Secretary Scott Bessent, who's doing a great job. Attorney General Pam Bondi. U.S. Attorney Janine Pirro. D.C. is a very safe place, Janine, right? Very safe place, and we got to keep it that way.
Yes.
Along with Senators Lindsey Graham, Jim Risch, Tommy Tuberville, and Katie Britt. And I will give you an exemption because, you know, they're supposed to be right now in the Senate. And if you guys want to sneak out, nobody will see you leaving. Do you want to do that, Lindsey, or do you want to stay for your Okay, you sneak out anytime you want.
Thank you.
We don't want to screw up any votes, do we?
Amen.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for being here. But we're also very honored to be joined by Mrs. a very special woman who I unfortunately have seen a lot of lately on television for the wrong reasons. A woman who is great, who Charlie said is the greatest of anybody he knew, best friends and best everything, Erica Kirk. So thank you very much. And as Erica knows, another special woman, Laura Ingram. Where's Laura? She's here someplace. Thank you, Laura. And many other true American patriots, great people. 1 year ago, Sergio played a key role in helping us secure the most consequential presidential election victory in the history of our country. And from the day we won, he immediately began working to staff our new administration with the most talented team of any president. And we have had a great team. A couple of mistakes there, Sergio, but we won't mention them. We got rid of them pretty quick. We found a couple we weren't thrilled with. We got them out of here. But as my director of office and presidential personnel from the early days of transition, Sergio's leadership was essential to fulfilling the historic mandate entrusted to us by the American people. And that's what we've done with the help. Here at the White House, we set new benchmarks for presidential staffing. Nobody's done it, I think, hopefully better, but certainly quicker. But I don't think anybody's done it better. We have great people, surrounded by the people that I really do love and like and respect. But we hired 4,000 appointees across every federal department in record time, including over 1,000 appointments on day one. So before we even got started, we had over 1,000 people working for us. Under Sergio's leadership, federal agencies and departments reached staffing levels of 95%, and it's faster than any administration in modern day history. And prior to his work on behalf of my 2024 campaign, Sergio had tremendous success as an entrepreneur in the publishing world. He even published my book, which went to #1. I was very happy because if it didn't, he wouldn't be here. But now I'm trusting Sergio to help strengthen one of our country's most important international relationships, and that's the strategic partnership with the Republic of India. It's a big deal. India is home to one of the world's oldest civilizations, the largest country in the world, actually. And it's got over 1.5 billion people. And we have a fantastic relationship with the Prime Minister, Modi. And Sergio has only enhanced that because he's become already friendly with the Prime Minister, knowing that Sergio is going to be the ambassador they would call constantly to say, let's get to know this man, and they like what they see. So I know you're going to have a great success over this. It's a very important relationship. But it's also the fastest growing middle class, and it's an important economic and strategic security partner in the Indo-Pacific region. It's an amazing country, actually. 1.5 billion people. China has 1.4 billion. Those are two big countries. As ambassador, Sergio will work to fortify our country's bond, promote investments in key U.S. industries and technologies, increase American energy exports, and expand our security cooperation. And, you know, we're making a deal with India, a much different deal than we had in the past. So right now they don't love me, but they'll love us again. We're getting a fair deal, just a fair trade deal. We had pretty unfair trade deals. They're very good negotiators, Sergio, so you have to take a look at that, if you would, please. But we're getting close, Scott. I think we're pretty close to doing a deal that's good for everybody, right? In the old days, do you think Biden would ask that question? I don't think so. He'd say, how are we doing with India? He didn't know about India. He didn't know a damn thing. But that's okay. We had him. Likewise, in Sergio's role as special envoy to South and Central Asia, he'll be a key emissary to a very important group of nations at the crossroads between East and West. And last week, I was honored to host the leaders of 5 Central Asian countries here in the White House, and Sergio will be helping with all of that. We had an amazing meeting the other night at the White House, and I'm confident that Sergio will do an outstanding job and make our country and all of his friends very proud. But I'm very proud of Sergio. I've known him for a long time, and he's a great guy. And most people love him. Some people don't like him so much. I'll be honest with you, Sergio. Some people, when they don't like Sergio, they don't like him. But when they like him more than anybody. But most of them really are the like category. And I just want to say that I think he's going to be an outstanding representative for the United States of America. And It's a big deal. Being the ambassador to India is a big deal. So, Sergio, congratulations. I know you're going to do a fantastic job. Thank you. Now, Mr. Vice President, we'll swear in.
Okay. Swear him in here.
Left hand on the Bible, right hand up.
Thank you. Thank you, Judge. I appreciate the assistance. We have such a crowd here, you think we're swearing in a vice president, sir. Okay. Please repeat after me. I, Sergio Gore,
I, Sergio Gore,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same,
that I take this obligation freely
that I take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation
without any mental reservation
or purpose of evasion,
or purpose of evasion,
and that I will well and faithfully
and that I will well and faithfully
discharge the duties
discharge the duties
of the office on which I am about to enter.
of the office of which I'm about to enter.
So help you God.
So help me God.
Congratulations, Mr. President.
Mr. President, this is an honor of a lifetime. I want to thank first you, what you have done for this country before you came back in, the trouble that this country was facing. I mean, frankly, we were screwed. What you have achieved in 10 months has been historic, has surpassed any other presidency, and I fully believe what you will achieve in the next 3 years will never be beaten. So it has been an honor to serve you. I've been at your side for many years. I will continue to be there. And it's just an incredible honor. And I look forward to enhancing the relationship between our two nations. But again, thank you for entrusting me with this position. And I look forward to doing a great job for you.
Thank you very much, Sergio.
Well, thank you, sir. First of all, congratulations, Sergio. You're going to be a great ambassador, a great representative to the country of India, which the President and I both love. As a lot of you know, Sergio was a critical piece of what made the first 10 months such a great success. Obviously, the President's leadership is the most important thing, but you can't do a whole lot unless you've got good people around you. And Sergio did as much as anybody to ensure that the White House was staffed with the very best people, people who were loyal to the President, loyal to the country, and loyal to the agenda that we're trying to implement. So thank you all for being here. I think it's a great testament to you, Sergio, that you got multiple cabinet secretaries, Erica Kirk, the President of the United States. This crowd would not turn out for just anybody, but it turned out for Sergio Gore. You're going to do a hell of a job, man.
Just to echo what Sergio said, Mr. President, you've done a lot for this country, more than any other president has in such a short period of time. And part of that is putting together a phenomenal team. And I know Sergio was instrumental in helping you achieve that. And so we think you'll do a great job. This is a very impressive collection of people. There are almost 1.5 billion people in the Oval Office right now. but Sergio's going to do a phenomenal job. Those of us who've known him, so many of his friends that are here and family as well that know how hard he works, 24 hours, 7 days a week. And that's what it takes to work in this administration because of how much you're pushing our country forward around the world and here at home. And we know Sergio will do a great job. So congratulations, Sergio. You're going to do a phenomenal job.
Thank you.
Thank you. Janine, please.
Well, I'm very proud to be here with Sergio, my friend, who's been my friend for many years. He is someone who is loyal, he is trustworthy, and he works as hard as anyone I know. And Mr. President, there is in this room a group of people who love you, who believe in you, and who are so proud to be in this Oval Office and to be part of this amazing day because you have changed the course of America. You and thank you, Sergio, for what you've done. God bless you both.
Thank you.
Well,
was also very good friends with a guy named Charlie. We just knew him as Charlie, and his wife, who we love so much, is here with us. And maybe you know how close they were together. Maybe, Erica, you could say a couple of words, please.
Honor to, sir. Charlie loved you. It's hard not to get emotional because I know that he would have been the first phone call when he found out that you were going to be taking this position. And the way that I was able to witness the two of you work together for years and to champion and support the president was absolutely humbling to witness. And I am so proud of you. And Charlie is going to be with you every single day in spirit. And I will be praying for you every day because I know that this is just the beginning of an incredible opportunity for you. And sir, thank you for allowing Sergio to have this beautiful moment.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Tara. And that man's watching over us right now, right? Okay. Any questions?
You mentioned senators that are here, Mr. President. Do you personally approve of the deal that's happening right now on Capitol Hill to end the government
Well, it
shutdown?
depends what deal we're talking about. But if it's a deal I heard about, that's certainly, you know, they want to change the deal a little bit. But I would say so. I think based on everything I'm hearing, they haven't changed anything. And we have support from enough Democrats. And we're going to be opening up our country. It's too bad it was closed, but we'll be opening up our country very quickly.
Mr. President, that deal does reverse the mass firings your administration put through during the shutdown. Did you sign off on that, and will you abide by that if this passes?
Well, I will be. I'll abide by the deal. The deal is very good. We're not going to be giving $1.5 trillion to people that came in from jails and from, you know, the gangs and drug dealers and all of these others that they wanted to be given health care, which would have hurt our health care system. I hope that we're going to be able to have a health care where Lindsay and I were discussing it, Jim and I were discussing it, and Katie, we discussed it. We want a health care system where we pay the money to the people instead of the insurance companies. And I tell you, we're going to be working on that very hard over the next short period of time, where the people get the money. We're talking about trillions and trillions of dollars where the people get the money. Yes, please.
The Syria president, sir, could you update us on your meeting? Did you come to any agreements?
Say it?
With the leader of Syria you had earlier, did you come to any agreements today?
Well, I've had an agreement with him. He's a very strong leader. He comes from a very tough place, and he's a tough guy. I liked him. I get along with him. The president, the new president of Syria. And we'll do everything we can to make Syria successful because that's part of the Middle East. We have peace now in the Middle East, first time that anyone can remember that ever happening. And as you know, Syria is a very big part of the Middle East, very important part. If you look back at Syria for years, they had the doctors, the lawyers, they had so many of the great intellects. It's an amazing place with great people. And we want to see Syria be successful along with the rest of the Middle East. So I have confidence that he'll be able to do the job, absolutely.
How close are you to a deal on a trade deal with India? Are you willing to consider lowering the current tariff rate?
Well, right now the tariffs are very high on India because of the Russian oil, and they've stopped doing the Russian oil. It's been reduced very substantially. Yeah, we're going to be bringing the tariffs down.
What kind of level are we talking about here?
I mean, at some point we're going to be bringing them down. Without tariffs, this country would be in such trouble, as they were for many years. That's why we owe $38 trillion. And one of the things we're going to do, we're going to issue a dividend to our middle income people and lower income people of about $2,000. And we're going to use the remaining tariffs to lower our debt. We're going to be lowering our debt, which is a national security thing. So we're doing a lot of good work. And the numbers were reported so incorrectly. The real numbers are trillions of dollars have been taken in or gotten in terms of investment from the tariffs. And so if that were ever reversed, it would be a disaster. Frankly, it would be a national security problem for our country. And nobody thinks it's going to be reversed. I think we had a very good court case. As you know, it's before the Supreme Court right now. But if that were ever reversed, people are saying, oh, it's $1 billion. Some people said, oh, it's $2 billion. Well, that obviously we can handle very easily. But this is trillions of dollars we're talking about in terms of the tariff income and all the investment income that's come into our country. We have more than, I would say right now, more than $18 trillion. The biggest number ever is a tiny fraction of that for any country. China, the United States, the biggest number ever. If you look at the past administration, Biden, he did less than $1 trillion in 4 years. We're over 18 trillion. By the time my first year ends, we're going to have over $20 trillion of investment coming into the United States. It's unheard of. We have AI factories. We're leading China by a lot. We have cars and car plants coming in by more than we've ever had built before. All of that would go away if we lose the tariff case. So all of it would go away. So they're not giving the right numbers. It would be an economic disaster. It would be a national security disaster if we lost the case in the Supreme Court.
Daniel,
Can we
back to that tariff
Yes.
rebate, this is an idea that you've been talking about for months. This is going to directly and positively impact millions of Americans. Why was this important for you to do, and when can Americans expect that rebate?
So I've been talking about it for a long time, the dividend to people that, have suffered under the Biden administration. So Biden had the highest inflation in history, and we now are at a very low point. We're going to be hitting 1.5% pretty soon. So we're at a low point, and he was a high point. We did that. Food prices are way down. It's all coming down. And the biggest decrease, of course, is energy. And, as goes energy, goes everything else. Because when energy comes down, the oil, the electric, I think you're going to see $2 gasoline or something very close to that. In fact, we're already in the twos, but I think you're going to be seeing very soon $2 gasoline. That's like the equivalent of a massive tax cut. But in addition to that, the great big beautiful bill gives you a very, very big tax cut. And then you have no tax on tips, no tax on Social Security, and no tax on overtime for the middle income and for even, frankly, anybody. But you have no tax, and the no tax on tips has turned out to be a tremendous thing. But when you think no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, and no tax on Social Security for our seniors, it's the great big beautiful bill, which has been mischaracterized. But now people they don't want to talk about it because it's so good, the enemy, because it's so good for everybody. It's the greatest piece of legislation ever passed in the history of our country in terms of size. And hence they call it the big beautiful bill, or the one big beautiful. I call it the great big beautiful bill. It's an amazing bill for the middle class. It's an amazing bill for jobs. We've never passed anything like it. And in my first administration, so we had the greatest economy. Everything was good, but we're really outdoing it this time because we have investments coming in largely because of tariffs, and I think because of November 5th, the election result. But we have investments coming in like we've never had before.
The deal in the shutdown, Mr. President, includes a vote.
Please, behind you, Caitlin, behind you. Thank you, Caitlin.
On Syria, can we expect an announcement on a pact between Syria and Israel, or an announcement on them joining the anti-ISIS coalition?
Yeah, you can expect some announcements on Syria. We want to see Syria become a country that's very successful, and I think this leader can do it. I really do. I think this leader can do it. And people said he's had a rough past. We've all had rough pasts. But he has had a rough past, and I think, frankly, if you didn't have a rough past, you wouldn't have a chance. He gets along very well with Turkey, with President Erdogan, who's a great leader. Erdogan's a great leader, and very much in favor of what's happening in Syria. We have to make Syria work. Syria is a big part of the Middle East, and I will tell you, I think it is working and really well. We're working also with Israel on getting along with Syria, getting along with everybody, and that's working amazingly. As you know, Hamas has given us back numerous bodies. It sounds pretty gruesome, but it's something the parents want more than if their son had been living. Hard to believe. I've seen all of the parents, so many of the parents, and getting back the body of their son, their dead son, is as vital to them, as important to them, as if the boy was generally the boy was alive. And as you know, over the last 4 or 5 days, we've gotten a lot of the additional bodies that they said they were going to. They've worked very hard to do that. So we have peace in the Middle East. It's a great thing, and nobody's ever seen anything quite like it.
Actually, I'm meeting with the Syrian president today, Mr. President.
Last week about your talks with Switzerland. We're reporting that you're near a deal that would lower their rate to 50%.
With Switzerland?
Yeah.
We're working on a deal to get their tariffs a little bit lower because
15% is what we're hearing?
No, I haven't said any number, but we're going to be working on something to help Switzerland along. We hit Switzerland very hard. We want Switzerland to remain successful, and we're a part of Switzerland in the sense that they've been a very good ally. Yeah, we're working on them and some others, and we're working on others to increase them a little bit too.
How close is it with Switzerland?
Switzerland, what, do you have something to do with Switzerland?
No, I'm just
He wants to buy a watch. He wants to buy a watch.
He wants to buy a nice watch.
He's a cheese.
He wants to buy a nice Rolex. We'll give Rolex some publicity. Because Rolex has been, they've been very nice, you know. No, look, it's a beautiful country. It's a small country, but economically very big. So we're working on something. Caitlin?
After a meeting with the Syrian president earlier today, Marjorie Taylor Greene, who is a big ally of yours, said that she would rather see you focused on nonstop domestic policy meetings here at the White House instead of nonstop foreign policy meetings. What's your response to her saying that, and also saying that grocery prices are up and not down, as you've said?
Yeah, so I don't know what happened to Marjorie. She's a nice woman, but I don't know what happened. She's lost her way, I think. But I have to view the presidency as a worldwide situation, not locally. I mean, we could have a world that's on fire where wars come to our shores very easily if you had a bad president. We had a horrible president, and we ended up with Russia-Ukraine, and we ended up with other disasters, too. Don't forget, I put out 8 wars, 9 to come. I think I'll get the other one taken care of. But I put out 8 wars. And look at the damage that Russia-Ukraine has done to us as a country. I mean, we spent $350 billion. We're not spending any money anymore. Now they pay us through NATO. You know, I got NATO to go from 2% to 5%. Well, that's very important. When you're president, you really sort of have to watch over the world because you're going to be dragged into it otherwise. You're going to be dragged into a world war. I think if I weren't president, first of all, that war would have never happened if I was president. And if I weren't president, that war could have led to World War III. It won't. It's not going to anymore. But when I first got in, I said, wow, this situation could lead to World War III. And I got NATO together. I got everybody together. But with all of that, I passed a great, big, beautiful bill, which is the biggest tax cuts in the history of our country. So when somebody like Marjorie Taylor Greene, who's now catering to the other side, I don't know what, I guess she's, got some kind of an act going, but I'm surprised at her. But when somebody like Marjorie goes over and starts making statements like that, it shows she doesn't know. I don't devote a lot of my time. Let me give you another example. China. China was going to hit us with rare earth. Now, everybody says, oh, what does that mean? Magnets. If China refused to give magnets, because they have a monopoly on magnets, because they were allowed to happen over a 32-year period, there wouldn't be a car made in the entire world. There wouldn't be a radio. There wouldn't be a television. There wouldn't be internet. There wouldn't be anything because magnets are such a part. Now, nobody knows what magnets are, and not overly sophisticated, but to build a magnet system would take 2 years. So if I weren't able to say to China, look, if you're going to do that to us, we're going to charge you 158% tariff. It was 100% on top of 58%. And China called up immediately and said, we will make peace. And we made peace. We made a great deal. We made an unbelievable deal. China's paying tariffs to the United States, not the United States paying tariffs to China, which has always been the way it was. Nobody can believe these deals. But so when somebody makes a statement about he's devoting time to the world, well, the world is the United States, because if the world's in trouble or if the world is ripping us off, the world was ripping us off before I came here. Europe was getting massive tariffs. They were sending us 9-10 million cars a year. We were sending them none. They were not taking our agriculture. We were taking massive amounts of their. It was so unfair. Now we have a deal where $950 billion is coming into the United States because of me and because of tariffs. So if I don't do all these things, our country is doing very poorly. So, it's easy to say, oh, don't worry about the world. But the world is turning out to be our biggest customer. The world was on fire. And we could have been in that fire very easily if you didn't have a president that knew what he was doing.
Can you guarantee to Americans that travel is going to go back to normal once the government all the air travel
better than normal. You know why?
When the government reopens.
Yeah, sure. It'll be much better than normal because we're buying the most sophisticated avionics and technology for our control towers, and we didn't have that. We had a guy named Buttigieg. Edge, they say is the best way. Just say 2 edges, like off the edge of a cliff, which is where they were taking us, by the way. Buttigieg was the Secretary of Transportation, and he spent billions of dollars trying to patch together our air traffic control system. which was a conglomeration of all different systems in all different cities. They had hundreds of companies working on it, and they were spending billions of dollars. And when they turned it on, it didn't work. It didn't even work a little bit. That's why you had a helicopter crashing into an airplane, that if we had a great system, bells and whistles would have started going off. So we are now in the process, we're in final bids of getting the finest system anywhere in the world. I've analyzed it. Sean Duffy has been working really hard on it, doing a fantastic job, by the way. And over the next 2 or 3 weeks, we'll be handing out the finest air traffic control system anywhere in the world. All the towers will be equipped. They were going copper wire into glass wire into other types of wire. And if you knew anything, you know copper wire doesn't work with glass. You know glass doesn't work with other substances. And they spent billions of dollars, and when they turned it on, nothing happened, okay? We're getting the most sophisticated, all brand new, all brand new. Every control tower will have the same exact system. It'll be the most sophisticated system by far in the world. And what we've done is we've looked around other countries, and we've taken the absolute best systems in every different form, because there are different. You have lots of different companies like IBM and Raytheon and a lot of great companies. They're all bidding, and we're going to pick the best one, and it'll get built relatively quickly. And we are going to have the greatest air traffic control system anywhere in the world. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you.
Guys, thank you. Let's go.
He's run a really great country, and he's got no crime, he's got no problems like some countries do, but probably has a couple of things that I don't know about, maybe that I don't want to know about. But he's a very special person. I've known him for a long time. We're going to be talking trade. We're going to be talking a little bit of Russia, Ukraine. We'll be talking about energy and energy prices. We have energy down to a pretty low point right now in the United States. We're drilling, drill baby drill, we call it. But energy costs are very low. Our general costs are very low. And I just saw that Walmart came out with a statement last night. They've done it for many years, that Thanksgiving this year will cost 25% less than Thanksgiving last year under Sleepy Joe Biden. So that's a big difference. That's a big difference. 25% less Thanksgiving. And I think that's a very good chart. They include everything that you need for Thanksgiving. So it's 25% less this year than it was last year. And that's true. That's emblematic of the rest of prices. Energy prices are way down from what they were last year. Inflation is almost non-existent. We have inflation down to a very low number. Whereas Biden, as you know, is the worst inflation in the history of our country. So we're doing very well. We have a shutdown, as you probably know, because the Democrats have gone, they're crazy. They're crazy. But they don't care if they hurt the country. But we've approved it 14 times. We've approved a opening up 14 times, and they keep rejecting it. And I guess maybe they will again. Let's see what happens. They want to have a lot of bad things happen. Bad things for our country. We're not going to give $1.5 trillion to people that came into our country illegally. We're not going to do it. To people came from prisons. They came from mental institutions. They're drug dealers. They want to give them medical care. $1.5 trillion. And we're not going to do other things that they're requesting also. So I just want to welcome this really good person. I know him very well. He's a good person. And he's a great leader, and he's loved in his country. And Victor, would you like to say a few words?
Thank you very much, President.
Thank you.
First of all, may I say that thank you very much for the invitation. It's good to see you, President, back to the White House. And good to be back after 6 years, anyway, again, to see you here.
Yeah.
As we have met last time. The reason why we are here to open a new chapter between the bilateral relation of the United States and Hungary, basically because during the Democrat administration, everything was ruined. So after your leaving president, everything was basically blocked, ruined, cancelled, a lot of harm done by the previous administration. In the last 10 months, President, what you have done, we are very much grateful for that. You restored the old level of the relationship. You improved the bilateral relation. You repair what was done badly by the previous administration. So now we are in quite a good position to open up a new chapter, let's say a golden age between United States and Hungary, and we have plenty of suggestions for today: economic cooperation, military cooperation, and political cooperation. And the main issue, probably, President, you know, we are neighboring Ukraine, which is in war. It's the most important issue for us, and we would like to discuss with you how we can contribute to help you in your peace efforts.
And you've taken a lot of Ukrainians that needed your help, and you've taken a lot of them in your country, and everybody appreciates that.
Thank you very much. Yeah, we do our best.
Thank you very much. Any questions, please? Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. Orban has requested an exemption as it relates to oil that is coming from Russia. Is that something that you are prepared to do? And may I ask Mr. Orban a question in regards to that very issue?
Sure. We're looking at it because it's very difficult for him to get the oil and gas from other areas. As you know, they don't have the advantage of having sea. It's a great country. It's a big country, but they don't have sea. They don't have the ports. And so they have a difficult problem. There's another country that has that same problem, by the way. But when you look at what's happened with Europe, many of those countries, they don't have those problems, and they buy a lot of oil and gas from Russia. And as they know, I'm very disturbed by that because we're helping them, and they're going and buying oil and gas from Russia. So that question could be really asked maybe more accurately if you talked about many European countries, not Hungary necessarily, because Hungary is in a different position. But many European countries are buying oil and gas from Russia, and they have been for years. And I say, what's that all about, right? Thank you.
So that will be one of the issues for today, to explain clearly what would be the consequences for the Hungarian people and for the Hungarian economy not to get oil and gas from Russia, because we are supplied by pipelines. Pipeline is not an ideological or political issue. It's a physical reality because we don't have port, exactly as the President explained to you. So we will negotiate on that point. It's vital for us anyway.
Mr. Orban, there are two pipelines, as I understand it. There's a pipeline from Ukraine and there's a pipeline from Croatia. And my understanding is that the pipeline from Croatia can provide all of Hungary's energy needs. As a result, why would you need an exemption if that's the case?
Okay. So when we discuss that issue, you should separate the gas and the oil. On the gas issue, which is very important for us, 90% of the Hungarian households based on heating system based on gas. So we have only one pipeline delivering gas to Hungary, which is the main pipeline, the Turkish one. What we got from Croatia is a very small volume supplementary gas pipeline. Okay, that's gas. Oil is another issue. So oil is coming from the Druzhba pipeline, which is the main supply, and that is a Croatian one, which is the secondary and supplementary pipeline. We would like to convince the Croatian government to enlarge it and make it possible to deliver more. Under these circumstances, it cannot be the main pipeline. It's just supplementary. But later on, with some big investments, it could serve better the interest of Hungary.
Yes, please go ahead.
President, thank you. Many people see this meeting not just as an encounter between two countries, but as the symbol of the strengthening of a new conservative world alliance. Would you agree with that interpretation? And how do you see the future of Europe in the light of leaders like Viktor Orban stand up to Brussels bureaucracy and the globalist agenda?
Are you from Hungary?
Yes, I am.
I figured. The fact is that he's a great leader, and he's respected all over, not necessarily liked by some of the leaders, but, you know, those leaders have proven to be wrong. If you look at his stance on immigration and other things, you know, if you look at Europe, they've made tremendous mistakes on immigration. It's really hurting them very badly. He has not made a mistake on immigration. So he's respected by everybody. He's liked by some. And I can tell you, I like and respect. I'm a double. I like and respect him. And that's the way Hungary is being led. They're being led properly. And that's why he's going to be very successful in his upcoming election.
May I have a comment on that? You know, language is important because the Anglo-Saxon terminology is different from the European one. So to use categories can create some misunderstanding. So I would like to be clear as much as we can. We are the only government in Europe which consider itself as a modern Christian government. All the other governments in Europe are basically liberal leftist governments. So we try to do something from 2010 which is different from what the others are doing, even at the philosophical level and at the level of practice as well, as just the President described it, like migration. So we are kind of a special island of difference in a liberal ocean in Europe. And we consider ourselves as a modern Christian government. That's the proper category to describe what we are doing.
To both of you, to both of you.
We're talking, but we'll report on that later. Meetings with Putin. We were talking about that with Victor. He understands Putin and knows him very well. And I feel that, I mean, I'm going to let you say what you think, but I think that Victor feels we're going to get that war ended in the not too distant future. Victor, do you want to talk about that?
Well, I'm strongly convinced. So the question is whether we Westerners are unified or not. The problem is that the President has huge peace efforts, which are just splendid and very positive for the European continent and all the peoples of Europe. But at the same time, we are not unified because Brussels and the Europeans has a different approach to the war. So the only pro-peace government is the United States government and the small Hungary in Europe anyway. All the other governments prefer to continue the war because many of them think that Ukraine can win on the front line, which is a misunderstanding of the situation. So it's a complicated issue. We will discuss it. It requests not just 2 minutes to respond to your question, but rather than our lecture. Sorry, not to continue more than that.
To both of you, to both of you.
So you would say that Ukraine cannot win that war?
You know, miracle can happen.
Yeah, that's right.
Mr. President, to both of you. Will there be a peace summit?
Thank you, Mr. President. What is your message to the EU, because from Hungary, and the EU want to impose their woke policies on Hungary? What is your message?
Well, I think they should respect Hungary and respect this leader very, very strongly because he's been right on immigration. Look what's happened to Europe with the immigration. They have people flooding Europe all over the place, and it's hurting it. It's the crime rates are way up. A lot of bad things are happening. His crime rates are very low. They're the same as they always were, which is very little crime, because he's kept it the way it should be. Europe, I mean, I don't want to go into individual countries. They're all friends of mine, everyone. As you know, in NATO, they voted to go from 2% to 5%, and, you know, that nobody thought that was possible. And we had just about almost, other than Spain, a unanimous vote. No, I think that I think they respect him a lot. They don't agree with him, but actually, inwardly, I think they probably do agree. He was right on immigration. They were wrong. They are flooding Europe with people from all over the world, and Europe is becoming a different place. And I tell the leaders all the time, you better stop or you're not going to have Europe anymore. It's a very dangerous thing they're doing.
May I have a reflection on that? So on migration issue, just for clarification, in Hungary, the number of illegal migration is like that, zero, because we have a crystal clear system. If somebody would like to come to Hungary, first he should ask for that. If you give the permission, they can step in. Nobody can step on the territory of Hungary without having a permission from the Hungarian authorities. This is the regulation, simple, well working. What is the consequence of that? We are under sanctions, financial sanctions of European Union, because we don't let the illegal migrations to come to Hungary and to the European Union as well. So we have to pay, just to inform you, we have to pay every day €1 million as a punishment to the Brazilian budget, because we stop the migrants. This is the absurd world we are living now in Europe.
Mr. President, to both of you.
Go ahead, please.
Bill?
Yes, go ahead.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I'd like to ask what do you think, what do you believe, after this meeting, can you have maybe, or the European Union will have another opinion about, just because of this penalty, another opinion about Hungary, because of the immigration and because of this kind of politics, which is not that strictly as the European Union directs? What do you believe?
Yeah, where are you from?
I'm from Hungary.
Okay. I do have that conversation with them, and I respect and like them. You know, they're all friends of mine. I think pretty much every single leader in Europe is a friend of mine. We get along really well. They've done everything I've asked them to do with NATO, et cetera. The only thing they continue to do is buy oil from Russia. That's not too good. But I told them they should respect this man. They can also learn from Victor. Victor has had a very hard stance on, more than anything else, immigration or even illegal immigration. He literally has accepted no one over the years. Think of how much greater these countries would be if they didn't have the tremendous crime that has come in with the immigration. People just flowing into Europe. They've got to stop it. And not only stop it, they have to reverse it. They have to get them out. We've done that here. We have 0 people coming in now. The borders are closed. We take people, but we take them legally. But we've done it very strongly, and we're moving hundreds of thousands, millions of people out. We had, of the 20 million people, 25 million, nobody knows even what the number is. They never knew. Biden had no idea. He had no idea. I don't believe he had any idea what was happening because he wasn't about open borders. But we had open borders, and we had millions of people come in, and they were coming in from jails. They were coming in from mental institutions. They were coming in as drug dealers. We had 11,888 murderers. Half of them committed more than one murder. We're getting them all out. We're getting them out. He doesn't have that problem, but Europe does have that problem. Other parts of Europe have that problem. So, you know, I tell them all the time, I stick up for Viktor Orban. Not a lot of people do because in many cases they're jealous. They wish they did what he did. They would have no problems if they did what he did. And I have a bigger heart than anybody, but, you know, they've destroyed some of those countries. Some of those countries had no crime 10 years ago, and now they have quite a bit of crime. And I would say that I don't know anything about your crime levels, but I would imagine they're very low.
Down.
Huh?
Very
Not
down.
too high, right?
No, it's very down. One of the best in Europe.
I had a feeling.
Sorry, may I have one remark?
Sure, please.
No. Just a clarification as well. I'm not here to ask how President Trump to manage my conflicts or our conflicts with the European Union. This is our matter, so we will do it. What we need is a golden age, to open a golden age of the United States-Hungary relationship. That's the biggest help we can get from the United States.
And maybe Europe too. You know, we can include Europe, but it's going to get more difficult.
So inside the European Union, we will manage all of our affairs. To be the most possible humble guy, yeah? But I'm the longest-serving Prime Minister of Europe. I survived all the Prime Ministers who attacked us. And I'm sure we will survive next years as well. So we will manage our conflicts successfully.
Mr. President, please. One question for you, Mr. President. One question for the Prime Minister. Speaking of Europe, last month you said that you would not withdraw U.S. troops from Europe, yet 2 weeks later, the Pentagon decided to withdraw significant number of troops from Romania. So have you changed your mind, or the Pentagon ignored your assurance?
No, they don't ignore anything that I say. What they do is we make changes. We move. It's the same number, total number, but we move people around. I happen to like the Romanian people. I think they're great people. And Pete, you may want to suggest something right there, please.
Absolutely. No, nothing was uncoordinated with the White House. It's all part of the view that we have of Europe, and there will remain troops in Romania, but there's some change in how we rotate and how many we rotate.
And the relationship with Romania is very good, right?
It's very good, and we've coordinated all this with Secretary General Ruta, throughout EUCOM, throughout our allies. Everyone was notified in advance.
The relationship with Romania is very good. The relationship with Europe is very good. I disagree with what Europe is doing having to do with immigration, but I agree with them on many other subjects. We just signed the biggest trade deal ever made with Europe, $950 billion. We were able to do it because of tariffs. It was a deal that was good, very good, but we had a very unfair deal. We were treated very badly before I came into office, but we just signed. It's the single biggest trade deal ever signed. So we have a very good relationship with Europe. Yeah.
What is the main dispute with the Russians which prevent the Budapest summit with Putin from taking place?
The basic dispute is they just don't want to stop yet. And I think they will. I think it's taken a big toll on Russia, a big toll on both countries, obviously, but it's taken a big toll. They're losing 7,000 soldiers a week. That's a big toll. And between the two of them, divided, you know, with Russia losing more soldiers, actually. But they're both losing a lot of people. And that's the primary thing that, with me, it's not economic, it's not money. In fact, we don't spend any money. We send it to NATO. They pay us for our missiles and for our military and everything else. We don't. It's not a question of money. It was with Biden. He spent $350 billion. He got nothing for it. The war would have never happened. If I were president, the war would have never happened. I think you would agree with that. This war would never have happened if I were president. It's stupid that it happened. But it did happen. I inherited the war, and I think we're going to get it ended. Not too distant future.
Mr. President.
Yes, please.
So no question that if that time the name of the United States president would have been Donald Trump, there would be no war between Ukraine and Russia. That's clear. But what we are speaking about here is more than that, because without the pressure coming from the United States government, I'm speaking 2022, the Europeans would not take that hard line what they have today on the war. Remember that big countries of Europe rejected to be involved more than just sending some, humanitarian issues. So the pressure coming from the United States to be more pro-war in Europe. So that's the fact of the history anyway. So we have to restore something which was ruined and created from here. And that's the reason why I understand absolutely the devotion of the president now to do everything to stop the war, because that would be not that deep without the previous government pressure from here. So the reason why I'm here to be as much as helpful I can to contribute to the peace efforts of the president, because that was an enormous mistake what we have done, the Western world several years ago, and we have to stop it, and it's common responsibility.
Biden actually pushed for that war to happen. Okay, if you can believe it. Nobody can believe it, but it's one of those things. And now look what happened. Look what's happened to Ukraine. It's a much smaller country. A lot of people are dead. You take a look at it's a whole different world over there. And Russia has not been helped very much by that war either. They lost a tremendous number of soldiers and people. And, look, that war should have been a one-week war. I don't know why it's taken. This is 4 years. Should have been 1 week. Should have been over with. But it would have never started. Should have never started. And I would have solved the problem without giving up anything. Ukraine would have remained as is. So there were tremendous mistakes long before I got there. I inherited that mess, and we're getting it solved, along with the 8 wars that we've already ended.
Mr. President,
what is America's interest cultivating better relations with the EU leader or not?
I think I can do both. There's no reason why I can't. I get along well with the European nations.
We are still a member of the European Union, so it's easy.
Yeah, and by the way, he's a member in good standing, I guess, although they penalize him every once in a while. But he's a member in good standing with the European Union, so he's a member. He's a part of it. But I get along great with him, and I get along very well with them. I agree with him on immigration much more than I agree with them, but I agree with, a lot of the things in Europe he also agrees with. But he had a difference, I would say, primarily on immigration more than anything else. And I happen to think he was right, because their whole fabric has changed. You go to some of the countries, they're unrecognizable now because of what they've done. And Hungary is very recognizable. Yes, ma'am.
Mr. President. Yes, Mr. President. Will there be a peaceful meeting in Budapest still this year? What do you think?
You mean a meeting with President Putin? You mean in Hungary? Well, I'd like to keep it in Hungary, in Budapest. That meeting, it turned out I didn't want to do that meeting because I didn't think anything was going to be happening of significance. But if we have it, I'd like to do it in Budapest. Yeah, it'd be good.
Mr. President, you said many times to support Viktor Orban. Why is it important to win the next election, for example, for the United States, Hungary, and also Europe? Why is it important?
Well, I don't know his opponent. I don't know if he has an opponent yet. At some point he will, I guess, you know. We always have opponents,
always.
right? Not much of an opponent. But I'll be supportive of him. He's done a fantastic job. We've had a great relationship. The United States, look, we had a country that had no leader. It had an auto pen, illegal auto pen, totally illegal. And that's coming out stronger and stronger. But we had no leader in the United States. I mean, Hungary, as an example, had no relationship with the United States, even though we do, you know, billions of dollars in trade with Hungary. Yeah. Hungary's a big country economically. We do, you know, billions of dollars in trade with Hungary. Why would they give that up? And they gave up so much else. Look, they gave up everything. This country was poorly run. I think if I didn't win the election, we might not have a country, if you want to know the truth, not a recognizable country. But our relationship was immediately good as soon as I won the election, because Victor's one of the people that's highly respected, and we had a great relationship with Hungary. We do again. That was an easy one. Yeah.
Do you and Prime Minister Orban agree on ways to put pressure on President Putin to come to the negotiating table to end the war in Ukraine?
I think we agree that the war is going to end. Sometimes people have to fight it out a little bit longer, but I think we agree that the war is going to end in the not-too-distant future. Do you want to talk about that, Victor?
I have some ideas, and I will present it to the President, how to stop it.
Mr. Prime Minister. Mr. President, since you brought up the Walmart Thanksgiving meal, and it is cheaper, but it also contains less, as affordability...
Well, I haven't heard that. You're telling me. Who are you with? Who are you with?
I'm with NBC News, sir.
Fake news. NBC. You're fake news. What a NBC's gone down the tubes along with most of the rest of them.
If I ask, why do you think there's such a disconnect between the economy that you're describing day to day and the way many Americans say they're feeling and they're concerned about?
Well, they feel better about our country right now, other than the shutdown, obviously, which is caused by the Democrats, could be ended by the Democrats in 2 minutes. They feel much better. We have more jobs. We just set a record on jobs. You do know that. We have more investment in our country than any country in history. We're over $18 trillion as of this moment, and we're going to be maybe at 20 or 21 trillion by the time I finish up my first year. And there's been no country, China, no country in the world that's done anywhere even close to that number. Your friend Biden, as an example, in 4 years was less than $1 trillion. We'll be at 21 trillion in 1 year. So there's no country that was even close to that, and our country was a laughingstock all over the world. We have more jobs, we have more potential than any other country, and frankly, we're the hottest country right now. Victor said to me before, we're the hottest country anywhere in the world. Think of it. We'll have $21 trillion invested. We have auto plants pouring back in. We have AI pouring back in. We're leading China in AI by a lot. We're leading everybody in every category. There's no category that we're in second place. So I just heard this yesterday that Walmart said that the Thanksgiving was 25% more expensive under Biden. That's a big, to me, that's a big number, because Walmart's respected. I mean, Walmart is Walmart, and, you know, they're giving you prices. So that would mean that the whole series of pricing and costs, you know, the groceries and everything else, it was a con job. It was a con job. Affordability, they call it, was a con job by the Democrats. The Democrats are good at a few things: cheating on elections and conning people with facts that aren't true. It was 25%. Walmart just announced it 2 days ago. 25% cheaper this year, will be cheaper to have Thanksgiving than it was a year ago under Sleepy Joe Biden.
You say affordability is a con job, as you put it.
Say it.
You said affordability was a con job, and you didn't want to. You said last night you didn't want to talk about affordability.
I talked about it. When did I not want to talk about it? I talk about it all the time. We are much better than Biden and all of them. Now, just so you understand, do you remember that the Biden administration had the highest inflation in 48 years, but most people say ever recorded? Do you remember that? Right? Do you remember it? Did they have the highest inflation in 48 years? Did they? Just answer me the question. You know the answer. The answer is yes. They had the worst inflation in 48 years. We have almost no inflation. We're down now to 2%, and we'll be at maybe 1%. You want to always stay above 1%, actually. You want a little tiny bit of inflation. We're at a perfect number. They were at the highest level in recorded history, okay? And when you talk about affordability, that one fact. Now, let's talk about the second biggest subject after inflation, energy. We're going to be at $2 gasoline. We're going to be approximately $2 very soon. We're a little bit above $2 right now for gasoline. Now, under Biden, it was $4.50. It even hit $5, but it was $4, $3.50. We're going to be at $2 a gallon. So gasoline's much less. Energy costs are less. When you have energy and when you have gasoline less, everything else follows. It's such a big category. So when you have lower energy prices, which I think you admit we do substantially, that means everything else. So we are the victors on affordability. But if I watched that election, which I was not much involved in, I didn't support Virginia, the candidate, didn't do a lot of support for the other candidates. They asked me about Cuomo, and I said, well, it's a question, do you want a thug or do you want a communist? I mean, that was my response. So I wasn't involved in that stuff too much. But I will say this, if you look at affordability, which they campaigned on, they lied because they talked about, oh, prices are up. No, prices are down under the Trump administration, and they're down substantially. Energy prices are down by 30, 35, 40%. Gasoline is way down. And the other big thing is inflation is way down. The biggest thing is inflation. The second biggest thing is energy. Energy is way down, and what's also down? Gasoline. Also, the biggest thing is inflation, and it's way down. We took over a mess, the highest inflation in recorded history. Some people would say 48 years. I'll take either one of them. But I believe it's the highest inflation in recorded history. That alone makes it impossible for them to have done a good job affordability-wise. So one other thing. When I came into office, Victor, 2 days into office, they were screaming at me about the cost of eggs. I was there for 2 days. Eggs had quadrupled. And I said, listen, I just got here. Let me check it out. And they were right. Eggs had gone up by 3-4 times. Within a period of a few months, we had eggs down to a normal cost. We did a great job on groceries and affordability. The only problem is the fake news. You people don't want to report it. And, in fact, I'd like to ask Caroline. Where's Caroline? I'd like to ask Caroline a question. Where is she? Did she? Uh-oh. She deserted us. She deserted me. Our great Caroline superstar deserted me. Anyway, she's right outside. She was going to talk about, because the fake news yesterday, they talked about that. They said, oh, I don't want to talk about affordability. The reason I don't want to talk about affordability is because everybody knows that it's far less expensive under Trump than it was under Sleepy Joe Biden. She is, sir. And the prices are way down. Caroline? Yes, sir. Could you discuss that question that was asked and how it was asked in such a fake, disgusting manner by the fake news?
Yeah, and I just saw it asked again here, and it's very unfortunate that the reporters in this room refuse to address, sir, what you just said, which is that you inherited the worst inflation crisis in modern American history, and you are fixing it in 10 short months. And your entire administration has been tasked with this effort, from Treasury Department to Agriculture Department to the National Economic Council right here at the White House. They are slashing regulation. He signed the largest middle-class tax cut in 6 months. In 6 months, in record time, putting more money back into the American people's pockets. So affordability is what the American people elected this president to do, and he is doing it, and you guys refuse to cover it, and you refuse to cover that the previous administration created the worst unaffordability crisis in American history. And I've been watching the TV all day saying that he doesn't want to talk about affordability. That's what he's working on every day, and that's what this administration is doing.
Right now. But you know why they refuse to cover it? Can I because they're fake news. That's why. Go ahead.
Can I get her someone?
Sure. Caroline, the Prime Minister would like you to work for him in Hungary.
Please consider.
You know what? That's a very good decision you just made. Please don't leave us, Caroline. Yeah, please.
You spoke to Republican senators. They do not seem interested right now in getting rid of the filibuster.
That's too bad. They're making a big mistake. That's right. No, but they're coming my way. You're right. Wait a minute. the way to do it for the Republicans is to terminate the filibuster. They call it the nuclear option. This is the second form of nuclear. Very good, very good. This is a good form. This is not a bad form. I would have been in favor of that a long time ago. But you know the Democrats are going to do that. And most of you will admit the Democrats are going to do that. So why aren't we doing it? And I think only a foolish person would be against that, especially when you realize that these are crazed people. These people are absolutely crazed, Trump derangement syndrome, whatever it may be. And I am totally in favor of terminating the filibuster, and we would be back to work within 10 minutes after that vote took place, and lots of other good things would happen. And it doesn't make any sense that a Republican would not want to do that.
If they're not going to do that, then it seems like you'd have to make a deal with Democrats to end the shutdown.
Here's some of the things that we'd pass if we terminated the filibuster. Voter ID, no mail-in voting, no cash bail, no men and women's sports, no welfare for illegals. You could go on and on. This is 2 pages of things we'd do if you did that. Without it, I don't know that you pass anything because you can't deal with them. They're really irrational. They really are. But I was happy to see that a tremendous liability to this country, a woman that made herself rich in this country, Nancy Pelosi, has quit. And she'll be out of here pretty soon. And that I consider that to be a great asset for America, getting her out. Yeah, please go.
Are you really going to deal with Democrats? You're not interested in it?
I don't know. We'll see what they have. I mean, we'll see. But they're very destructive for the country. NBC, fake news. I'm not taking you. Go ahead.
Mr. President, are you worried about it backfiring in the future on Republicans? Should they get rid of the filibuster and then down the road Democrats?
Well, you know, normally I would say, well, a little bit. But the reason that I'm not is because if they ever took over power, they'll do it. Look, Joe Manchin and Sinema are 2 people that are no longer in politics because of this issue. They were opposed to what the Democrats wanted to do. They wanted to terminate the filibuster. They were opposed to it. They're no longer in politics. They're gone. The Democrats will do this. So if the Democrats are going to do it, I'm saying Republicans should do it before they get a chance. It's very simple. And if we do it, we will never lose the midterms, and we will never lose the general election, because we will have produced so many different things for our people, for the country, that it would be impossible to lose an election.
Are you worried about an AI bubble?
No, I love AI. I think it's going to be very helpful. So many things are happening with it, and in addition to which, we're leading China, we're leading the world in AI. We're building massive electric plants that the companies themselves are building for their plant. I've given them the right, because we need so much electricity for that. Just the word is electricity, believe it or not. Double the electricity that we currently have in the country for just the AI plants. And I've allowed those companies to rebuild and build electric plants along with their facility. We're getting approvals done in less than a month, sometimes in 2 weeks, for massive, beautiful, massive buildings. And no, I'm totally in favor of it. I think it's really going to be the wave of the future, and we're leading the world. We're leading everybody by a lot.
How long do you think the shutdown will last? Mr. President, how long do you think the shutdown will last?
I don't know. It's up to the Democrats. We voted, the Republicans have voted 14 times to open up the country, and the Democrats have voted 14 times to hurt the country, really. They should approve it, but they might not. That's why I like the fact that we terminate the filibuster. If we terminate the filibuster, the country will be open within 10 minutes after that termination, because we'll take a second vote, which is the opening of the country, and the Republicans will vote to open the country. That's one of the reasons, not the major reason, by the way. I think it's less important than the other things that we get. But if we terminate the filibuster, the second vote that we will take will be to open up the country. It'll take 10 minutes, and the country will be open.
Is there any room for bipartisanship? Because it seems like that's the main purpose of the filibuster, is to create some sort of compromise. So
Well, it didn't work, obviously.
So
You're right. That was the purpose of the filibuster, bipartisanship, but that didn't work.
So are you saying the next 3 years in Washington there shouldn't be?
Well, no. If the filibuster is terminated, we will have the most productive 3 years in the history of our country. If the filibuster is not terminated, then we will be in a slog with the Democrats, and very little for either party will be done. So it's a good thing. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you very much.
Thanks, guys. Let's go. Thank you.
In our critical mineral supply chains, we had a great relationship and energy of China. Also, as you know, our new and fantastic Prime Minister of what we've done is pretty amazing. We were with the President of South Korea. We went to Malaysia and lots of other places and had a lot of meetings while in South Korea. And I think it was a tremendous period of time. We took in at least $2 trillion pouring into our country. There's never been anything like it. We have almost $18 trillion of investment. And by the time we finish out our first year, we probably will have about 20 or 21 trillion, with a T, trillion dollars of investment. And there's never been anything like that in the history of the world, not just the United States. This is really the world we're talking about, nor has anything been close. It's a great honor. I've had a very talented team next to me, but it's a great honor to have that kind of economic power. This was helped greatly by tariffs. It was helped greatly by November 5th, which was the election, presidential election. But our countries and the countries that we're dealing with, they're promoting security, stability, and everything else that you can imagine for the entire world. 3 months ago, my administration also brokered a historic peace agreement between nearby Armenia and Azerbaijan, one of the 8 wars that we ended in 8 months. At that time, 8 months, we're looking to end one more, if that's possible. Russia and Ukraine. We haven't gotten there yet, but I think we've made a lot of progress. As I said at the time, that historic accord includes the construction of the new Trump route. It's such a beautiful thing. They named it after me. I really appreciate it. It's actually a big deal. But it's the new Trump route for international peace. This is a road that's being carved and goes through some of the most important places anywhere in the world, some of the most important places economically also anywhere in the world, which will boost commercial activity on the other side of the Caspian Sea, helping nations throughout Central Asia. I'm optimistic that each of the countries here today will reap the benefits of peace if they embrace the opportunity that we've unleashed with the agreement. Some of the countries we're talking about and some of the countries represented here are going to be joining the Abraham Accords, and that those announcements will be made over the next little while. The Abraham Accords are very sought after right now. We're going to be announcing some very important countries that are joining, and for Jared and for Steve Witkoff, we appreciate the great job you've done. This evening, I'm also delighted to report that Kazakhstan has officially agreed, and that's official now, as of about 15 minutes ago. A tremendous country with a tremendous leader has officially joined the Abraham Accords. And I just want to thank you, Mr. President. It's a great honor. It's a tremendous honor to have you. Really great. Once again, I'm grateful that each of these respected leaders has made the trip to Washington, and I'm delighted to continue our conversation over dinner. We're going to have a little working dinner, short one. They've been flying a long way. It's a long flight, but we're going to have a quick but very fruitful dinner. I want to thank the media. You've covered it very fairly, and it's really a great honor to be with these incredible leaders. These are highly respected people, and there's no games. They don't play games, I want to tell you that. So maybe I'd like to ask you, Mr. President, to say a few words if you'd like, and we can go through the list of the 5, and then we'll have a little dinner, please.
Mr. President, first of all, I would like to express my sincere gratitude to you for convening this truly historic meeting at the White House. And under your steadfast leadership, this summit marks the beginning of a new era of interaction between the United States and Central Asia. Precisely 1 year ago, you achieved a landslide victory in historic election which was absolutely clean and fair. And once again, my congratulations.
Thank you.
And my strong belief that, Mr. President, You are the great leader, statesman, sent by heaven to bring common sense and traditions that we all share and value back into the United States policy, either domestic or foreign. Therefore, millions of people in so many countries are so grateful to you. And I'm convinced that your wise and bold policy needs to be strongly supported worldwide.
Thank you.
Under your presidency, America is ushering in a new golden age. I commend your far-sighted vision of making America great again. This inspires me to pursue target-oriented strategy towards building just and strong Kazakhstan on the basis of my concept, law and order. As President of Peace, you, Mr. Trump, brought to an end 8 wars just within 8 months. Thus, you have evidently reinforced America, its role as a pillar of international stability. Mr. President, I highly appreciate your unwavering support to advancing Kazakh-American multifaceted cooperation. As early as in your first term in the White House, our relations have been legally fixed as enhanced strategic partnership. The United States is the largest investor with over $100 billion in our economy as its perpetuum mobile. Our trade turnover has doubled in recent years and is approaching $5 billion. We cover almost 25% of America's domestic uranium demand. Kazakhstan has become a home country for 600 American companies. So I think that it's a very good figure, and during my visit alone, our businesses are concluding deals worth over $17 billion, paving the way for even greater B2B partnership. So my political will to seize all those unique opportunities, and this will is firm, is and I will keep all important issues under my personal attention. I have no doubts that we have very bright future as it comes to our bilateral cooperation. Thank you, Mr.
Thank you, Mr. President. Great job, too. Thank you very much. Please.
Esteemed Mr. Trump, we highly value your personal contribution to reboot process of C5+1. Before that, none of the presidents of United States of America never treated Central Asia as you do. Me personally and all my colleagues are grateful to you. We've felt your close attention, your attitude, and it means a lot for us. Thank you very much for that. In reality, indeed, I'd like to repeat myself. I've told you that already. In Uzbekistan, we call you the president of the world. You've done a lot. You were able to stop 8 wars, and I'm convinced that the war between Russia and Ukraine can be only stopped by you, and we are very much hopeful for that. Today's summit shows that the United States of America foresees Central Asia as key partner. Together, we develop future which is based on trust and pursuance to creation. I have a number of proposals. We would like to establish a permanent secretariat and place it based on rotations in different countries of Central Asia. Number 2, to establish a coordination council on investments and trade, and to provide for the systemic dialogue between public authorities and companies. We think that the idea to establish a Central Asian investment partnership would be a good idea. So we were able to agree on that in 2020. We are ready to continuously work with the U.S. on establishing communicational and energy projects, transportation to link Central Asia and Europe, applying and using Trump route. 3-year plan has been established, as I told you already, to implement our investment program for $34 billion. Those are large projects, and we've discussed it with you already, both in New York and today I've mentioned it to you. So we have strong perspective. Once again, I would like to express my deepest gratitude for all that has been already done. And we will take back a lot of results from this summit. It is a landmarking summit, and your attitude towards all of us means your great support to us to strengthen Central Asia and to strengthen the partnership between Central Asia and the U.S. C5+1 have to become efficient mechanism of our practical partnership, and I propose to host our next summit in 2026 in Samarkand to establish this further. I'm pretty sure that, I'm convinced, Mr. Trump, that under your leadership, it will be a strong partnership. Thank you very much for your attention, and we will be well prepared for the summit in Samarkand.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. President. Please.
President Donald Trump, I thank you very much for the invitation to participate in today's very important high-level commemorative meeting in the format of C5+1. The Central Asia and the United States, you play a remarkable and highly commendable role in ensuring peace and stability in conflict regions around the world, and your peaceful efforts are worthy of praise, and I extend my heartfelt congratulations to you, Mr. President. And today our collaboration, our wide-ranging bilateral cooperation covers different areas: trade, economy, security. As it comes to our security cooperation, we particularly have an excellent cooperation on counterterrorism, fighting extremism, and the drug trafficking. Mr. President, over 70 companies with American investment are operating in Tajikistan today, and 93% of my country is mountainous, and we have an abundance of natural resources, particularly water, hydropower, critical minerals, and rare earth materials. Tajikistan is a home for 13,000 glaciers, and approximately 60% of Central Asian water resources originate in Tajikistan, and our country is rich in strategically important minerals, including rare earth minerals and critical materials. Tajikistan is a member of both the European Union's Critical Raw Materials Club and the United States Mineral Security Partnership Instrument. And according to the United States Geological Survey, our country ranks the second in the world in terms of antimony production, and is currently the largest producer of metallic antimony, which is the United States so deeply interested in, and we have a brilliant cooperation on this. And last year, antimony accounted for 97% of Tajikistan total exports to the United States. In 2024, Tajikistan produced and exported 17,000 tons of metallic antimony, primarily to the United States. And the activities of ANZOB, joint venture in ANZOB Metallurgical Company in Tajikistan, with American investment by Comsap, American company, exemplify our strong and long-enduring collaboration. However, there are still many opportunities in terms of trade and investment, and we are interested in expanding economic and trade cooperation between our countries. So there is a good opportunity to cooperate in creating new generation of sustainable artificial intelligence data centers, And since we have a brilliant cooperation between our air companies, and since 2008, Tajikistan Salmon Air Company had purchased 8 mid-sized Boeing aircraft with a total volume of $440 million, and this company is expected to receive 2 more modern Boeing 737 MAX 8 aircraft next year, and the total commercial package of Boeing with the Salmon Air exceeds $3 billion. And American companies, so we have excellent cooperation with American companies over the last 20 years, and the American companies, they're particularly interested in antimony and many rare earth minerals, which Tajikistan has abundant resources, and Tajikistan, among the Central Asian countries, has a very rich, boundless potential and resources in critical minerals, and we are very keen to continue closely our cooperation on security items, which we are so concerned for so far, and I wish you every bit of luck and to your endeavors as a president of peace.
Please.
Dear mass media representatives, for me it's a great pleasure for me to hold a bilateral meeting with President His Excellency Donald Trump and to participate in the C5+1. First and foremost, I would like to express my sincere gratitude to President Donald Trump for his kind invitation and warm hospitality and this opportunity to speak about important topics. Kyrgyzstan values the United States of America as one of the important partners in foreign policy. During our bilateral meeting, we discussed some actual topics of the Kyrgyz-U.S. relations, as well as the strengthening cooperation between the Central Asian countries. With regard to Kyrgyz-American relations, I would like to emphasize 4 main areas: economy and investment, including tourism, hydropower development, digital economy, artificial intelligence, and information technology, ensuring peace and security and stability. In this context, I wish to highlight the significant contribution made by President Donald Trump to strengthening global stability and to ending conflicts in different parts of the world. When I started my office of the president, I identified the main priority as resolve border issues with our neighboring states in the spirit of good neighborhoodness. Today, after 5 years, I am pleased to note that together with my counterparts, we have successfully achieved this goal, most importantly through peaceful means. As a result, the role of Central Asia in global politics has grown substantially, and major powers have shown increasing interest in cooperation with the region. The C5+1 format has become an important platform for advancing political dialogue, and I'm very glad about that. I would like to express my special appreciation to Your Excellency President Donald Trump for initiating and hosting today's summit, and we really feel warm hospitality. We highly value this step and regard it as a demonstration of the United States' goodwill and commitment towards Central Asia and friendship. I am confident that our joint efforts will lead to concrete, mutually beneficial outcomes for both nations and people. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Please.
I thank you, Mr. President. First of all, I would like to express my deep gratitude, Mr. President, for the invitation to attend this C5 Central Asia plus US Summit. We consider that we recognize the good results they made since the development of this format, and of course we expand the cooperation in such strategically important areas as security, economy, energy, and environment. We believe that the results of this summit will lead us to further expansion of multi-phase cooperation between Central Asia and the United States of America. I do appreciate, Mr. President, for your warm hospitality. I do appreciate.
Thank you very much, and thank everybody. We'll have a little more to discuss, but a lot of progress has been made today, and it's a great honor to have you with us in the United States of America. Thank you. And to the media, maybe a couple of questions, ideally on this topic, please. Please.
Kazakhstan and the US have signed over $17 billion in new deals in aviation, minerals, and digital technology. In your view, which area of this partnership matters most? And second question, President Trump, when can we report that you will be the first US president to visit Kazakhstan? When will you be our guest?
I think it's very possible that we'll do that. And I think all of those are very important items when you think of it, right? It's, you never know from year to year. One becomes more important than the other, but they're all important. And your country has great natural resources and a great president. Very great president.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Yes, please.
Vanik amendments. We are just expecting.
What? Say it again.
Jackson Vanik amendments.
Oh, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, thank you, Mr. President. Look, Jackson Vanik is overdue to be repealed with the help of the President, with working with the President. We are going to get that repealed in the very near future. Thank you, Mr.
Okay, thank you very much. Yes, please.
On this topic, Kazakhstan already has diplomatic relations with Israel. Can you talk about the significance of this agreement in terms of what it would signal to the region as Gaza moves toward rebuilding? And on the shutdown, there's been discussion about potentially a deal, but it would involve rehiring the federal workers who were laid off. What's your opinion of that?
Well, we're going to see about the shutdown. Look, the shutdown is caused by the Democrats, and we're not going to spend $1 trillion or $1.5 trillion on health care for people that came into our country illegally, many of them from prisons and many of them drug dealers and murderers, 11,888 murderers. We're not doing that, so we'll see about that. We shouldn't, they should have, as they've done always in the past, it should have just been extended. It could have been extended very easily, and it should have been. And it should have. Please.
The Abraham Accords is significant, sir? Given that they already have diplomatic relations with Israel, what this agreement is supposed to signal?
You want to answer that, please?
Yeah, so I think the diplomatic significance is that it gives great momentum to the Abraham Accords. And to recap for those those who are listening who don't appreciate, the Abraham Accords, of course, is the historic agreement struck by the president in the first term to rebuild the alliance structure and the relationships between Israel and a number of the majority Muslim countries in that region of the world. What the president has done is actually signaled that the momentum of the Abraham Accords is alive and well in the second administration. I think it's not just going to be Kazakhstan, but also a number of other countries that join in the months to come. So it's a great signal, a great act of friendship, and a great sign that the Abraham Accords is alive and well.
Marco?
I think that's the wrong way to analyze it. There's a lot of countries that have diplomatic relations with one another. The Abraham Accords is a partnership. It's an enhanced relationship beyond just diplomatic relations and having embassies in each other's capitals. It is, and it's not just with Israel, it's with all the other countries that are part of the Accord. You're now creating a partnership that brings special and unique economic development on all sorts of issues that they can work on together. So that's really the benefit of it, and the strength of it is to have majority Muslim countries, the Jewish state, able to partner on things to show the world that it is possible.
Essentially, we've really expanded the Abraham Accords, and one of the reasons is we are right now in negotiations or talks with many countries that really wanted to come in, but they couldn't because of the status of Iran. When Iran had a possibility of nuclear weapons, which they do not have now, when Iran was the bully of the Middle East, let's call it the bully of the Middle East, which it isn't anymore, they had a hard time going against that. I understand that. Now that Iran has been very much decimated in terms of their nuclear and in terms of their regular, because of the actions we took with those beautiful B-2 bombers and other things. People really want to come in, and so we are in very active discussions with the more traditional potential members of the Abraham Accords. The 4 originals are phenomenal, and they're doing really well. They're making a lot of money with trade and other things being in the Abraham Accords, and we're expanding it a little bit. When a few of these countries come in, that's a great expansion, and these are very substantial countries. So we consider that a great honor. It was brought to our attention that they wanted to do that, and we think that's great. So it's really an expansion of the Abraham Accords, okay?
Hi, Mr.
Yeah, please,
President.
go ahead.
Yes, thank you so much for your time, sir, on these important issues. I wanted to hear if you have an update on the Russian oil sanctions. We're seeing reports that the exports are way down. So how do you think that could affect the war in Ukraine, the United States' interests, and your partners here tonight, too?
Well, I can say that the exports from Russia are way down. We just like to see an end to the war. We'd love to see an end to that war. So many people are being killed. A lot of Russian soldiers are being killed. So we think at some point they're going to get very smart and they're going to do that. So, yeah, the Russian exports are substantially down.
What is your Trump doctrine on foreign policy, is in particular related to South and Central Asia and China?
Well, look, we had a tremendous meeting, as you know, with President Xi in China, and my doctrine would be denuclearization, because we have enough nuclear. We're number 1, Russia's number 2, China's number 3, way behind, but they'll be even in 4 or 5 years. They're, working overtime on nuclear weapons. I think that denuclearization would be a great thing. We could blow up the world 150 times. There's no need for this. So I really think we're going to have, I've spoken to President Putin about it, I've spoken to President Xi about it, and everybody would like to spend all of that money on other things, people that really, things that can benefit people now. So I think something like that could happen, the denuclearization. It's really, I want peace through strength, but we want peace all over the world, and we're very close to getting it. We had a lot of wars raging that people didn't know about. Now they're not raging anymore. We have one left, and we're going to hopefully get that taken care of. Yes, sir, go ahead.
Do you have an update on how soon that international stability force may be on the ground in Gaza?
Very soon. It's going to be very soon. And Gaza is working out very well. And you haven't been hearing too much about problems. And I'll tell you, we've had countries that have volunteered. If there's a problem with Hamas, as an example, or a problem with anything, but they volunteered to, on a single basis, go in and take care of it. We have very powerful countries in this coalition. And it's not, this is because I've heard some of the press saying, well, it's a very tentative, or it's not tentative. This is a very strong peace. This is peace in the Middle East. Hamas is a very small part of it, very, very small part. And if they don't do as they said, if they don't behave, then they've got themselves a big problem, a really big problem like they've never had. But so far, it seems to be working out very well. But that's a very small part of what we're talking about. That's a part of Gaza. You're going to have a very, I think we can say, Marco, we have a very strong peace. This is a strong peace. We have many countries involved in the Middle East. Essentially, these countries are all involved. They want to see peace in the Middle East. And Marco, what would you say about that?
No, I think that's right, Mr. President, and you deserve a tremendous amount of credit for making that possible. And now I think the only reason why it's going to continue to happen is because of the President's role in this. So there's work being done at the United Nations now to come up with a resolution that creates the framework internationally so that these countries who are all volunteering, as you know, Mr. President, to be a part of the stabilization force can come aboard. But they need this UN mandate in order to be able to do it. And we've made a lot of progress over the last few days. And Jared Kushner and Steve Woodcock have been working very hard on that. And today was a good day on that front.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead, please. Fox.
Will you discuss the Abraham Accords when you meet with the president of Syria?
Well, we're going to meet, and I think he's doing a very good job. It's a tough neighborhood, and he's a tough guy. But I got along with him very well, and a lot of progress has been made with Syria. That's a tough one, but a lot of progress has been made. We took the sanctions off at the request of Turkey, at the request of actually Israel, at the request of a few different countries, and we took the sanctions off to give them a chance And frankly, Iran has been asking if the sanctions could be lifted. Iran has got very heavy U.S. sanctions, and it makes it really hard for them to do what they'd like to be able to do. And I'm open to hearing that, and we'll see what happens, but I would be open to it. But we did take the sanctions off Syria in order to give them a fighting shot. And I think so far I think he's doing a very good job so far. Fox?
Thank you, Mr. President. A federal judge said tonight that the administration has to fully fund SNAP. It's the latest in a back and forth, and the Justice Department said they're going to appeal it. What's your message to folks as they work this out in the courts and in Congress as we're heading into Thanksgiving?
You want to go with it?
Yeah, look, Jackie, it's an absurd ruling because you have a federal judge effectively telling us what we have to do in the midst of a Democrat government shutdown, which what we'd like to do is for the Democrats to open up the government. Of course, then we can fund SNAP, and we can also do a lot of other good things for the American people. But in the midst of a shutdown, we can't have a federal court telling the president how he has to triage the situation. We're trying to keep as much turned on. We're trying to keep as much going as possible. The president and the entire administration are working on that, but we're not going to do it under the orders of a federal judge. We're going to do it according to what we think we have to do to comply with the law, of course, but also to actually make the government work for people in the midst of the Democrat government shutdown. If they would like to end this, we would welcome working with them to end this government shutdown, and then we wouldn't have to triage what we're going to fund and what we're not going to fund. And the last thing that I'll say is the American people are unfortunately about to start suffering some very real consequences because of the shutdown. In the past, when you had a government shutdown, you would have, under the Obama administration, they would lean into all of the problems it was going to cause for the American people at the beginning of the shutdown. The president has told us to keep as much going as humanly possible. But after 30 days of this thing, 40 days of this thing, you're going to start seeing very real travel delays. That's because the Democrat government shut down. You're going to start seeing SNAP benefits run out. That's because the Democrat government shut down. They should stop this charade and open up the government. That's what we want them to do. We've been asking them to do it for 40 days. It's time.
And one other thing, our country has to remain very liquid because problems, catastrophes, wars, could be anything. We have to remain liquid. We can't give everything away based on a number. Here's an example. When I was president, the number that you're talking about was a tiny fraction of what it is now. Biden went totally crazy, gave it to anybody that would ask, gave it to people that were able-bodied, had no problem. Anybody that would ask, we get the number. And it's many times the number of people are on. This wasn't meant for that. It was meant for people that had real problems, in many cases people that were down and out, people that could be saved. It wasn't meant for people that could do whatever they want, the people that say, well, I don't think I'll work, I'll just, collect this money. Take a look at the number of what it was during my administration and what it was during the Biden administration. It went up many, many times my first term. One other thing, a number came out today that was amazing. Walmart. I trust Walmart, Arkansas, great place, Arkansas, great company, Walmart. They announced today, after many years, they do this every year for many years, that Thanksgiving for the United States of America under Donald Trump as president is 25% less for Thanksgiving meal with all the trimmings than it was under Sleepy Joe Biden's administration. So we talk about affordability. I think that's the best chart. That's better than a poll. That's better than anything I can think of. So Walmart, which everybody trusts, and I trust, and everybody trusts Walmart, they're not looking to do anything except give the numbers. And they have for many years. They talk about the cost of Thanksgiving and the cost of living through Thanksgiving and enjoying Thanksgiving. For Joe Biden, it was 25% more than it is for me. At a later time, our energy costs are way down. Our groceries are way down. Everything is way down. And the press doesn't report it. The press reports whatever the con people say. I call the Democrats con men and women. They make up numbers. But when you look at 25% reduction in costs for Thanksgiving between Biden and me, meaning this administration, that's a tremendous number. It's the biggest reduction in cost in the history of that chart or whatever it is they do. They do a synopsis of everything. They cover every element of Thanksgiving meals. 25% down. So I don't want to hear about the affordability, because right now we're much less. If you look at energy, we're getting close to $2 a gallon gasoline. With Biden, it was $4.50, $5. Another thing, inflation. We had the worst inflation in the history of our country. Now we have virtually no inflation at all. It's down at a very low number and a very normal number. So the affordability is much better with the Republicans. The only problem is the Republicans don't talk about it. And Republicans should start talking about it and use their heads, because we have great numbers. We have great, and they're going to only get better when all these jobs open up, all these factories open up that are being built all over our country. I mean, we are building auto plants. We're building AI plants. We're leading in AI over China and everybody else. When all of these plants start opening, we're going to have a revolution, a positive revolution, economic revolution like never before. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you.